Thank you, Program Directors, His Excellency the President of the Republic of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, former President Comrade Thabo Mbeki, President of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, Comrade Mzwanele Nyonso, Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Comrade Angie Mutshekga, Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Mr. Gayton Mackenzie, High Commissioner of Zimbabwe to South Africa, His Excellency Hamba Ziripa, High Commissioner of Zambia to South Africa, His Excellency Mazuba Monze, Premier of the Northwest Province, Comrade Lazarus Mukhosi, Gauteng MEC for Education, Sports and Recreation, Comrade Matume Chilwani, families, friends, relatives of our heroes, comrades and compatriots. Today we welcome home gallant sons and daughters of the South Africans to the South African soil, who made the ultimate sacrifice to ensure that we all can gather here today as free people. These illustrious men and women whose remains are finally brought home after decades of exile represent different generations, united by the yearning to liberate their motherland. They represent the well-known such as ANC Secretary General Duma Nokwe and head of ANC's Women's Section, Comrade Florence Muposho, journalist Tot Machikiza, and Wanki campaigner Basil February, as well as other unsung freedom fighters, who are all heroes and heroines of our liberation struggle. Today we pay homage and express our profound gratitude to them and their families for their immense contribution to our freedom. They came from all over the country, from Alexander to Zeerust, Cape Town to Soweto, Durban to Mdantsane, Bloemfontein to Mahikeng, the East Rand to Ngwavuma, paying testimony that our struggle against apartheid tyranny was a truly national struggle. These homecoming comrades and friends and South Africans is a culmination of extensive work that spans a number of years by the ANC government. Many hurdles had to be overcome to correctly trace the final resting places of these and many more other combatants. We want to, as the ANC, thank Comrade Nelson Mandela, Comrade Thabo Mbeki, and Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa to seeing this to the finishing line. And we want to give them a great salutation and a great tribute today for this important work. Some have been quick to displace the ANC government, and Gayton Mackenzie, my dear friend, you are doing a great job. And don't allow them to steal your time and set you against us. You are part of us. And then say that Gayton Mackenzie achieved a lot in 3 months and more than the ANC. The real truth is that Thabo Mbeki started this process. The families here, they know the truth, and everybody else. And President Matamela have seen it to the finishing line. And we are blessed to be in the ANC-led government of national unity and seeing us to the finishing line. But my great friend, not taking anything from you, you are doing a great job. Thank you very much. We were pleased in March 2021 when the cabinet of the 6th administration approved the national policy on repatriation and restitution of human remains and heritage objects. The implementation of these policies is driven by the Inter-Ministerial Committee led by the Deputy President. This then paved the way for this first group of 47 freedom fighters who were buried in Zambia and Zimbabwe to be exhumed and repatriated. This will be followed by comrades buried in countries like Tanzania, Angola, Uganda, Lesotho, Mozambique, and many more. Over the last century, since the establishment of the ANC in 1912, our people have fought heroic battles against colonial and apartheid tyranny. These battles were waged in many fronts, from internal resistance inside the country to armed combat in the frontline states, to the capitals of the world who rallied behind the anti-apartheid movement. The brutality of the apartheid regime and the banning of the ANC and the PAC, alongside many other progressive organizations in the country, led us to the underground and exile, where we continue to wage our struggle. Indeed, many of our comrades went into exile so they could contribute in different ways to the liberation of our country. We remain grateful to the many nations of the world who embraced our people, supported our struggle, trained our people, and provided our movement with the much needed resources to wage our struggle in different terrains. The role of the frontline states, who stood as a bulwark against the aggression of the apartheid state, gave our struggle momentum and rallied the continent and the world behind our struggle. It will be remiss of us as the ANC today not to mention the indelible role played by the countries where these comrades' mortal remains were repatriated from, Zambia and Zimbabwe. Zambia, led by President Kenneth Kaunda, gave home to the ANC and other liberation movements, providing for ANC headquarters, training camps, and the education of our children and young people. It did so while still busy rebuilding their own country, after just attaining their own independence from colonialism in 1964. In the true spirit of Pan-Africanism, the government and peoples of Zambia vowed that they can't be free until all peoples of Africa and Southern Africa are also free. And they put deed to word. We remain forever grateful. Zambia also ensured the ANC sonic presence in the airwaves in the form of Radio Freedom, which enabled the ANC to shape the course of the unfolding struggle and internal political developments. Zimbabwe too, like us, fought a long and hard struggle for independence and freedom against the regime like apartheid regime that was determined to cling to power at all cost. It was for this reason that we found common cause with the freedom fighters and freedom-loving people of Zimbabwe, expressed in the joint Wanki and Spolilo campaigns of Umkhonto weSizwe and Zipra in 1967 and 1968. Once she attained her independence in 1980, Zimbabwe too provided offices to the liberation movements and played a critical role in uniting the frontline states against apartheid South Africa. Both Zambia and Zimbabwe became victims not only of cross-border raids and strikes, but also assassinations, bombs, grenades, and other attacks. Despite this, they remained steadfast in their solidarity with the liberation movement and peoples of South Africa. It was Egyptian intellectual Edward Said who said, I quote, "Exile is strangely compelling to think about what terrible to experience. It is the unhealable rift forced between a human being and a native place, between the self and its true home. Its essential sadness can never be surmounted. And while it is true that literature and history contain heroic, romantic, glorious, even triumphant episodes in an exile life, these are no more than efforts meant to overcome the crippling sorrow of estrangement," close quote. This estrangement impacted particularly harshly on the families of those of our comrades who went to exile, often not knowing where their loved ones ended up, what they endured and experienced, let alone when and if they will ever see them again. Unfortunately, for those in whose honor we hold this homecoming ceremony today, they were never able to taste the fruits of freedom in their homeland, let alone see their loved ones. It is therefore important that we continue with this program, working with families to bring home the remains of those who passed away in exile, so that we may all begin to have closure and heal. Amandla, thank you very much.